So the first team I'll speak about is obviously Manchester City. They were incredible again at the weekend, and there's only really one player to start with, and that's Sergio Aguero. If you haven't got Aguero, I would probably look at getting him right now. He just looks so good. Obviously he had surgery in the summer. Pep's really bigging him up at the moment, and he just looks really in form. And I think with those fixtures that Man City have got, you just can't not have him at the moment. So yeah, buy Sergio Aguero. In terms of other City options, there's a few to choose from. I think the obvious one and probably the most essential to have is Mendy. Mendy just looks so good right now. I mean, he's literally playing sort of as a left winger, almost kind of centre forward at times. And I think for a player of still, that price and in defence, you just have to have him. So yeah, Mendy, an essential pick from me. In terms of a third City player, I think there's kind of a couple of options you can choose from, and there's not really a wrong answer. I think the most reliable and safest pick is probably Ederson in goal. I just think City probably will keep a lot of clean sheets this year, and as seen at the weekend, he might even get the odd assist. So I think Ederson is a good, safe option that he's going to play every game, and he doesn't really have any competition for that spot. In terms of other picks, I think there is one or two in the midfield. Obviously there is a bit more of a rotation risk there. Personally, I quite like Bernardo Silva just because only 7.5, 7.6, it doesn't matter so much if he does miss the odd game, because at that price you can kind of get away with it really. Whereas if you have players like Sané, if they get dropped, it's a bit of a problem. I think in terms of Bernardo Silva, I still think he's going to play most games, especially with De Bruyne out, and I'm not sure I'd be removing him right now. I do think he might miss a game coming up, but I do think he's still a very good option at only that price, and it's important to remember that he very nearly scored again at the weekend. Another player I'd look at is David Silva. He just looked exceptional at the weekend, and I think he's had a little bit of time off, obviously had a lot of trouble last year, and I think Pep really rates him. I think he's a good option to have going forward. The next team I'm going to talk about is Chelsea. I feel that's kind of overlooked Chelsea assets at the start of the season, me being one of them, and I think there is really some good players there, and they've been looking good over the last few weeks. For me, there's kind of two standouts. One obvious in Alonso. He's been so far up yet again this season. He's had a few shots in the box, he's had a goal, he's got 2 assists. They've got good fixtures incoming, so I think Alonso's a good one to have. The other one I look at is Kante. Kante's been playing so far forward, and for only 5 million in a Chelsea team that's playing attacking football, I just don't think you can go wrong there. It's okay saying he's not the best finisher, but if he's getting into those positions time and time again, he's either going to get an assist or he is going to get the odd goal. And I think the way he plays, he's more inclined to get quite high bonus points, so Kante is definitely one you should be looking at. I've seen a few people say about Pedro. I think he is a good option, but when you compare that Alonso was the same price in defence, there's absolutely no competition there. Alonso is nailed on, you get defensive points as well, and you compare that with Pedro, who's in midfield. Yeah, he is probably a little bit higher up, but there is a little bit of a rotation risk there. So for me, go with Alonso. So the next team I'll talk about is Liverpool. I think Liverpool will be the team to challenge City this season, and they've looked pretty good over the last week or two. I think on Salah, I think he's been unlucky, really. I think he's been playing quite well. He's had a lot of shots, which is only a good sign as ever. And I think I've seen a few people getting rid for Mane, which I wouldn't do. I mean, on another week, Salah could, score a haul, and then you're going to have problems. So yeah, I think Salah's still a very good option right now. Obviously, Mane has been playing really well, and if you've got him, or you can get him, he's definitely a good option. The only slight one I had to give is that, obviously he did have an offside goal the week before, and their fixtures do turn a little bit more tricky in a week or two, but without doubt he is a good option. So if you want to double up with Liverpool in the attack, I think Mane and Salah are good options. In terms of Liverpool defence, there's just one man really. I think Andy Robertson is just exceptional. He's so consistent. Every game he's getting really, really good crosses, getting into attacking areas. You saw last night again, he was in the box against Palace. And I think if you do want a cheaper kind of player in that defence, I think Alexander-Arnold is a good option. I don't think he is as good as Robertson, but for 5 million, I mean, that's a very, very good price into that Liverpool backline, so good option as well. So following on from that, obviously we did see Palace last night, and I thought they were unlucky. I've seen a couple of people move out Zaha, but it should be the opposite. He's a player, he should be getting in right now. They've got a very, very good fixture running coming, and he's a very good option. He's the talisman of that team, so get on Zaha. Obviously with Wan-Bissaka, it's been a really interesting one. I had him myself, and it's really frustrating when he comes in last night off your bench and it's -2. But I would not be getting rid of him at the moment at all. Like, you are never going to get a better option at 4 million this whole season than Wan-Bissaka. He should only miss one game, so keep for me. So I've seen a few people kind of ditching Arsenal assets like Aubameyang, and I just think, what are you doing? He is going to be a really good option over the next few weeks. They've got really, really good fixtures, and it's important to remember, in the second half of last season when he arrived, he did so well, and he's at the very top of that Arsenal team, and I'd expect him to be the one that kind of explodes over the next few weeks that everyone's trying to get. So if you're looking to get ahead of the crowd, definitely consider Aubameyang. The other Arsenal asset I'd consider is Mkhitaryan. He really, really impressed me at the weekend, actually. I think he kind of seems a lot more revitalised this year. He's kind of linking up all the play. He's posting some good stats as well. So if you want a good, cheap Arsenal option midfield, he's the one to go for, and I certainly recommend him. So with Everton, they've got some really good fixtures ahead. Probably one of the best fixture runs incoming. Obviously, integral to any fantasy football team right now is Richarlison. He just looks exceptional in every game. Silva really rates him, and I think after finally having a summer break this year, I think he's just integral for your team. So definitely get on Richarlison. I think there may be one or two other options you can consider. I think Walcott is doing really well, and I think he probably will keep doing well over the next few weeks, and there's a good little differential. The only slight worry with him is that I do expect Bernard to come in a few weeks' time once he's settled in. It might threaten Theo's place. So if you do want a little bit of a differential to get you out the rankings, I think Walcott for the next few games could do pretty well. So in terms of captaincy for the weekend, we've got a few options to choose from. My personal top 3, as mentioned to a few, I think first place would be Salah at home to Brighton. I know last year in the same fixture at home he did pretty well as well. I think he got a goal and an assist. And Brighton are usually pretty bad away from home defensively, that is. And I just think, Liverpool are going to be really up for this game. And I think Salah will be, out to prove a point. He'll want to score, he'll want to be up there for the golden boot again. And I think, this is a real game for him. In second place is Aguero. I think he's the man in form right now. I do think he'll start this game because of the form that he's in. And interestingly, last year, before Mendy got injured, Jesus and Aguero actually played quite a lot of games together before that happened. And I do think we might see Aguero and Jesus together at the top a lot more this year, which kind of makes Aguero a really, really important pick to have, especially in terms of captaincy. He can just explode at any minute. So Aguero in a close second for me. In third place, as mentioned earlier, I think this is a game for Aubameyang. I think West Ham are struggling defensively. I think Arsenal are really, really going to turn it on in this game. And I think, again, Aubameyang himself was quite disappointed in himself after he missed the chance of the weekend, and he's really, really going to want to score in this game. So I think Aubameyang in third for me.